2021. Get ready for the franchise. Here we are, Daddy's Home. The D train here, the dad train, as per usual, spreading his seed across the land and birthing many children to form extended families with and blended families therein. Over there, Henry Papali.
I never know when to come in. 4 years, I still haven't gotten that right.
Well, it's because I'm bad at my job. Like other hosts will go like, with me, Henry Papali.
Yeah, it's
as always in New Jersey. That's what they'll say. As always, Henry Papali. To my right.
Right. That's right. Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you. It's great to be here again. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Episode 239.
239. What a number. Meaningless number. Just adds nothing to the proceedings.
It doesn't. But in 11 shows, we'll be at the great 250.
250. That's right. And who knows? We might be covering a certain web slinger or wall crawler at that point. Who knows?
Something amazing.
Oh, something spectacular?
Yeah.
Something web of?
Mm-hmm.
There was a comic Web of Spider-Man. That was like in the 90s. Yeah.
Wow.
No problem.
That's a bad title for a comic series.
It wasn't the best. All right. Web of Spider-Man.
They were running on.
What a fumes. Tangled web we weave.
Oh, I bet that was one of the issues.
Henry, we're covering Daddy's Home. This is it is 2021, but this is the last of our holiday coverage.
Yeah, we went a little deep.
It's my fault. I had too many ideas for this year, and I went a week too far.
Right.
But we this continues our Christmas movies that were sequels, like a movie that was given a sequel, and for the sequel, they were so bankrupt of ideas that they were like, "How about Christmas?"
Yeah, it really shows. Yeah.
So last week we covered the bad moms, and I'll tell you what, where there's moms, there's daddies.
Yeah. Well, we had to cover both. I mean, it actually worked out. I'm sure you planned it that way. Or did one idea implant the other? Did you get to bad moms and were like, just immediately like, what about dads? There's got to be a dad?
No, I had a list. I just had a list of movies that were Christmas movies where not all of the franchise was Christmas shit.
Okay.
So, like, it was just on a big list with, like, Ernest and Gremlins and shit, and I thought it worked out.
Gremlins, right.
So here we are, Daddy's Home. We did it. We've got Mark Wahlberg. He didn't stop 9/11, but he sure could have. And we've got Will Ferrell. He's... what is he, 60 at this point?
I don't know. He's curlying up his hair as much as always. Got that nice perm.
Wild to see him as the love interest of Linda Cardellini, who was playing 16-year-olds when he was on SNL.
It's a great point. There's a lot of things in these two movies that make you suspend your disbelief, but that honestly took me...
What are you talking about?
I never, but that one particularly, I just kind of never. I don't know. A lot of movies you can forget about that stuff. The ugly guy with the gorgeous woman.
It's not a matter of ugly guy with gorgeous woman. Like if they gave him like a gorgeous, if they put him with like Toni Collette or something, I'd be like, all right. But Will Ferrell is like 67 years old at this point. Linda Cardellini is like my age. I mean, maybe a little older, like in her 40s.
She's my age.
She's your
age. I think
she's
born at the same year as me, or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, I give movies shit for this a lot. It's like a cliche at this point, but like, get real, guys. What are you doing? I mean, I get it. It's to make Will Ferrell make sense in the context of this like blended family movie. because he really should be the grandfather.
Yeah.
Like Will Ferrell is a contemporary of John Lithgow, as far as I'm concerned.
Will Ferrell, clearly born in the 1940s.
I mean, was he born in the 50s?
I would say it had to be born in the 50s.
He was born in 1967.
That's crazy. Really?
Wait, how old does that make him?
That makes him 53 now.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything that I'm saying still stands, and I felt this way watching him earlier in the year in the Eurovision movie with Rachel McAdams as well. But I don't know. He's just Will Ferrell did a weird thing where he got his start on SNL. And then he started making mainstream comedy movies. This is the route of a lot of SNL people. And hugely successful, obviously, with the Talladega Nights and Anchorman and Old School and whatever the fuck else he was doing at the time. Wedding Crashers. I mean, he's only in it a little bit, but whatever. And then, like, Will Ferrell had, like, an inkling of being, like, an artist. And so he started making things like Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know. Like, he would
Melinda.
But even later than that, though. Like, there was this weird wilderness period with Will Ferrell from, like, 2006 to 2012.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened. And now I feel like he has totally given up. Like he has deemed that period of his life a failure. Almost like how we talked with Eddie Murphy after Harlem Nights. But like he hasn't really replaced it with anything. He's just making like all of his movies now it's almost like Adam Sandler movies where they look like parodies of Will Ferrell movies. Like if in like when Anchorman and Talladega Nights were popular, if you made a fake movie that was had trailers for like fake Will Ferrell movies, sort of like Funny People and Adam Sandler, I feel like you'd come up with things like Daddy's Home and like Holmes and Watson and like Zoolander 2 and like Get Hard with Kevin Hart.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, even The Campaign, which is earlier, like, I mean, I remember when that movie came out, it was just so on the nose. It was like, yeah, all right, he's doing this. Galifianakis, he's got a silly voice. Great.
Right. Yeah. He's in a movie with Zach Galifianakis where Zach isn't even playing Zach. He's playing Seth.
He's basically doing Seth, yeah.
Yeah. However, that movie did make me laugh quite a few times. I'll admit.
It has its moments.
Yeah.
But
There's
I mean,
a baby gets punched.
But you know what? Daddy's Home has its moments. We're talking Daddy's Home today.
I'm not going to lie.
And let me tell you something. Movies can be uninspired and still entertaining. And I sometimes forget that doing this show because we watch such tripe and we waste so much of our time.
Yes.
Like, even Bad Moms last week, which wasn't like a torture trial or anything.
No.
It's just sort of like nothing. Like, you're sitting there watching nothing. And at least with Daddy's Home, like, I'm watching this, and never once was I watching it and had the thought, this is a good movie.
No.
That never occurred to me. It's not good. It's just, like, from the opening shot of the trailer, you know that Daddy's Home with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg is bad. All right?
Absolutely.
But not a waste of time in entertaining 1 hour and 40 minutes of my life. And the second one was a little rougher for me, but this first one, I would say watch it. It's okay.
Yeah, I agree with you on the second one, and the first one I really went in obviously with the lowest expectations.
Lowered
expecting
expectations.
Is that a theme song?
That's from Mad TV, Henry. I just made a reference to Mad TV from the 90s.
Wow.
Were you prepared for that this morning?
Will never be prepared for a Mad TV reference.
Wait, Henry, wait a second. He look like a man
boy, what a show that was.
Oh, what a classic. I'm so glad that all those original Mad TV stars are revered as the comedy geniuses they were.
They are. They all went on to have great, like, SCTV, Saturday Night Live type.
Who are the original stars? It's like Artie Lang. He doesn't have a nose anymore.
No.
Then
The Will Ferrell lookalike kind of that they got to do a lot of stuff. Now he's in movies.
who? I feel like
Basically-
all of those Mad TV guys now I just see like pop up as guest stars on ABC sitcoms.
Yeah, the guy.
Except Alex Borstein, right? She's on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and she's the voice of Lois on Family Guy. She was Mrs. Swan.
Okay.
He looked like a man.
The guy I'm thinking of is that he basically was clearly cast as like the Will Ferrell-esque person. He's tall, lanky.
Was he Stewart? Did he play Stewart?
Yeah, guy.
Yeah, I remember him. I feel like he's been like the principal on the Goldbergs or
I've
something.
seen him in movies. He's shown up as like a villain. I think he's in The Heat.
That doesn't surprise me.
But back to Dead Is Home. I went in with really low expectations, and I found myself laughing quite a bit. I actually laughed. If laughs count for enjoyment of a movie more than anything else, then I laughed more in Daddy's Home than I did in Bad Moms.
Oh, I did too, by a lot.
Yeah, me too. And that surprised me.
And part of that, I think we can attribute Henry to. I don't want to praise this guy too much because he's a hack and a half, but director, what's his name? Sean Anders. I do think that the Bad Moms movies were directed, of course, by the writers of The Hangover. And I think those guys are writers that got a directing opportunity after an enormous success. They have no eye for the camera. Everything was set up so, and I didn't even notice it while I was watching it, but it's just such a flat fucking movie.
No, there's nothing going on. They don't know where to put the camera. They used so much slow-mo. I mean, their reaction shots aren't timed well. That's camera work and direction, a lot of that.
Blocking was weird and awkward. I know.
And in this one, it's there. It's just there. Like, you can enjoy the laughs because they're timed correctly, and a lot of that is the actors, but a ton of it is the direction.
Yeah, it was almost jarring, like to put this movie on after Bad Moms last week, and like it is every bit as uninspired, but it's just better made.
It really is. It really is. And any movie that has sequences where multiple sequences where Mark Wahlberg makes me laugh, I'm like,
Mark Wahlberg did not make me laugh in this movie.
he made me laugh. Although he made me as usual in comedic roles of any sort. And this carries on into the second movie where I was hit with a big double dose of this feeling. He makes me uncomfortable.
Why?
He makes me feel like there's always a part of him that is not getting it, that is also going to explode at any moment. He just looks like the kind of guy who's ready to fight somebody all the time, and I really mean that. Like, he just makes me uneasy. I'm just
maybe that's a good performance, Henry. I think that's the character. I think you're just reacting to his embodiment of Dusty.
Yeah. That could be it, except I had the same feeling with Mel Gibson.
I do think that Mark Wahlberg, this is, of course, a reunion of Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell after their 2010 Adam McKay triumph, The Other Guys, which I saw in theaters. I believe you have skipped altogether?
Yes.
Okay, now The Other Guys, this is an interesting choice of movie to follow up The Other Guys for these two, because The Other Guys was sort of a proof of concept for them as a comedic pairing, but it was so much Will Ferrell's movie comedically, and it was Adam McKay sort of beginning his slide and his interest in politics and and having something to say in movies. You know,
Yeah.
it was his follow up to Step Brothers. So I remember seeing it expecting something more along those lines.
Yeah.
And then the whole fucking movie is basically about the 2008 financial crisis. And
The other guy
Yeah, the other guys.
is about that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There's all this like economic distress in that movie that is like clearly intentional. And there's all this bank stuff too. There's like a bank heist in that movie. It's interesting. And
So
I'm
he's
not
like
saying that's a good
Big
movie.
Short.
But what's that?
Prepping for The Big Short.
I think like everything since the other guys has been like a weird line. Like the other guys like prepared you for The Big Short, which prepared you for how shitty Vice was going to be, which prepared you for that movie he's going to make this year that looks good.
What is he doing this year?
Oh, he's got this movie coming out this year, and the cast is insane. And it's an original screenplay, which actually excites me way more than if he was doing like some political bullshit.
Yeah.
Do you want me to look it up for you real quick?
Sure. I mean, I can do it.
Adam McKay's next film, Henry, is called Don't Look Up. A pair of astronomers try to warn everyone on Earth that a giant meteorite will destroy the planet in 6 months, and they won't listen. It's like, I guess, like a COVID analogy.
Okay.
But listen to this cast, H-Dog. Moving on from Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg to Timothy Chalamet. All right, that wasn't a good one to start with. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, he's getting on that train. Sure.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Wow.
Chris Evans. Meryl Streep. Kate Blanchett. Jonah Hill. Ariana Grande. That's right. All of the best actors in the world are in this film.
They want a piece of Adam McKay now.
They do.
That's all that is. Okay.
Yeah. He gets you Oscar noms, baby.
Yeah, he do. And he wins you.
Yeah, he's like probably second in command to David O. Russell in terms of Oscar nom directors.
Yeah, that's why J-Law got on there.
You better believe it. Joy didn't do nothing for her. She got off that O. Russell train.
That's right.
All right, listen to me, Henry. Shawn Anders, shall we talk about him?
Sure.
Oh, wait. So what I was saying, I'm sorry. Let me go back to, I felt like this was an interesting choice for them after the other guys because it was almost like, okay, we did the other guys. People liked us as comedy stars. I know that was like a real movie. Maybe they'd like us in a fake movie.
Sure. Well, they did.
It's so weird, man.
Yeah. That is strange. I mean, because I remember when the other guys came out, that was like you're right. Like that was looked at as like a major comedy release. Like, okay. And then this one comes out, and it's like, oh, what is this shit?
But this is a major comedy release too. Like, it is interesting because it's not it's just it has no artistic aspirations whatsoever. It is so baseline a Hollywood comedy. Like it is just like without even looking at the trailer. And I kind of remember what the trailer was because I remember seeing it and going like, I'll never see that. But like, I mean, can you imagine? It's probably just like Will Ferrell doing nerdy stuff, like his stepdaughter kicks him in the shins or whatever, right. And then they probably show Mark Wahlberg coming down from the airport, and it's probably like, and he gets on his fucking motorcycle and shit.
They're licensing AC/DC.
Well, in the movie, it was Thunderstruck.
So amazing, yeah.
I knew that would blow your mind. And they brought it back for the sequel.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Shawn Anders. Shall we talk about him? He's our director.
I got him up.
He got this gig. Actually, the screenplay was originally pitched by a fella by the name of Brian Burns, I believe.
Okay.
Is that right? Brian Burns. I had that right, brother. Killing it today as per usual.
It's true.
Well, that guy's like a nobody. He writes for Blue Bloods on CBS. Yeah, but so Shawn Anders and John Morris, his writing partner, get a chance to do this. Anders, he's pretty well liked in Hollywood circles, making very hacky mainstream comedy films. Got his start writing and directing the film Sex Drive.
Well, what about this Never Been Thawed?
That's not a real movie.
It's not?
I don't think so. I mean, if
All right.
anyone's ever seen Never Been Thawed, let me know. But the
Great
first
title.
thing I've heard of him in is he wrote and directed Sex Drive, which I remember hearing about it. It seemed like it had the same plot as Road Trip.
A road sex comedy film about a high school graduate who goes on a road trip to have sex with a girl he met online. It is based on the young adult novel All the Way.
Sounds like a young adult novel to me.
Yep.
All right, so that's probably bad. Then he writes Hot Tub Time Machine and She's Out of My League. Those are both pretty good, so he's back on board in Hollywood again. He writes Mr. Popper's Penguins and We're the Millers, Henry. Both huge hits. He directs the Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg duo comedy, That's My Bush, which I've never seen. And then...
That's My Boy, I think, is what you meant.
Oh, That's My Bush was a sitcom
TV
about
show.
George W. Bush by
That's
Trey
correct.
Parker and Matt Stone. That's great.
That's correct.
He writes and directs Horrible Bosses 2.
Yes, I did not partake in that.
Me neither.
Yeah.
And I actually,
Yeah.
I have it on DVD.
Why? One of those giveaways? Or?
No, when I was in rehab, a guy, some alcoholic, found out about the show. Lent me Horrible Bosses 2, apropos of nothing. And then just I think he relapsed. So I never saw him again.
So that's your DVD.
Yeah, I have that now.
Okay.
If you're out there, I shouldn't say his name, right? That's
No.
All right. Horrible Bosses 2. So that's probably a big movie for them. Him and his writing partner. And then it's Daddy's Home time. And after Horrible Bosses 2 and Daddy's Home, this guy is the pick of the litter.
Yeah. He's made money.
Yeah. So he writes and directs Daddy's Home 2, continues his flirtation with Mark Wahlberg, as well as his apparent fascination with blended families in the film Instant Family.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Nor have I.
Yeah, 2 years ago. I haven't heard of it.
He's currently attached, continuing his interest in Christmas, Henry, to a Christmas Carol adaptation with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. So get pumped about that. That's going to be very funny.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's also attached to a film called Mean Moms, which sounds like it could be in the same, genre as Bad Moms and...
God, Mean Mom. I mean,
they're mean.
Okay.
They're not bad. They're just mean.
Mean girls, bad moms, mean moms.
That
Bad
indicates
girls.
that you're in for something funny.
Yeah, I would think
Because
so.
it's like a mom. That's like normally a mom would be like a nice lady,
right.
But now, mean or bad, that turns it on its head.
I got news for you. What if we're wrong and Mean Moms is like a really serious drama?
Yeah, it's like the boy in the striped pajamas.
Yeah. Paramount Pictures presents Mean Moms.
This Christmas.
They're out to get you.
In New York and Los Angeles. Theaters everywhere, February. All right.
Not theaters everywhere. Only limited theatrical release, then $20 on Amazon.
That's right. All right. Deck 25, this comes out. It's interesting that the next one's a Christmas movie. It was released in November, but the first one, which is not a Christmas movie, was released on Christmas Day, 2015.
Yeah. Well, they got a Christmas made-up scene, so there you go.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. That was crazy.
I set up this whole thing saying, the first one's not a Christmas movie and the second one is. And then, an hour into this movie, it just turns into a Christmas movie just for, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was pleased.
Yeah, I was happy about it, too.
Yeah.
This film had a budget, and I hope that Will Ferrell demanded this. The budget was $69 million.
That would be great if he did.
High five. And what an enormous hit it was, Henry. What an enormous fucking hit this was. It raked in $242.8 million worldwide. In America, it was the number 22 film of the year, making only slightly less than Mad Max Fury Road and a tad more than the Divergent series Insurgent. This film was nominated for a couple of awards,
Yes.
Henry, of course. I assume that you have your award themes out. Let's hear the Kids' Choice Awards.
I thought it was teens. It's kids?
Well, it's both.
Oh, it is?
Did you have teen pulled up? Did I
Nope,
pick the
it's
wrong
fine.
one?
It's the Kids' Choice Awards. It's KCA to you, but it's the kids making the choice, yeah.
Wow. What a great presentation of the Kids' Choice Awards theme song. And this film was nominated for 2 Kids' Choice Slime Blimps. And I'll tell you what, Will Ferrell won Best
good
Actor
for
of
him.
the Year.
Well, they're
For
making
Daddy's
the choice.
Home.
That's
They
nice.
made the choice.
That's nice.
KCA.
Yeah.
KCA for you. And this film was nominated for Best Picture of the Year, Henry.
By the kids.
By the kids. The kids thought that this was one of the
That's
best
fine.
films of the year. And
Yeah.
I know. It lost to Star Wars The Force
This is
Awakens.
a better movie, so they made a poor choice.
This is not a better movie than Star Wars The Force
Better time
Awakens.
during this.
Jesus. All right, this was also nominated for a couple of Teen Choice Awards. Actually, just one. No,
It's
two.
the Teen Choice Award.
Can I hear that one more time?
It's the Teen Choice Award.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
thank
is
you.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that one. All right, Will Ferrell was nominated for the Choice Comedy Actor of the
Okay.
Year. Okay. And he lost to Zac Efron for Neighbors 2's sorority.
Did you watch
rising.
Neighbors too?
Yeah, I really
I
enjoyed
liked the first. I saw the first Neighbors. That was fun.
Did you skip the second one?
Yeah.
It was good. We'll do it for the podcast. Yeah. Chloe Grace Moretz, bring her in there.
All
Having
right.
a real nice time. All right. Let's talk about it. Daddy's Home. He certainly is. Can I just say right off the bat, I don't like the title.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure. What would you call it? Though. No.
Something else. I would say that this title has sexual connotations that I am uncomfortable with.
Oh, like if it's Daddy's home, like house,
Daddy's Home sounds like a
Okay.
seduction.
didn't
Daddy's
occur to me
Home.
like that. Okay.
It's also it's one of Neil Patrick Harris's catchphrases on the classic sitcom Him, How I Met Your Mother, and he walks up to girls and just
Oh,
says,
boy.
"Daddy is."
Well, no wonder it made you uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Think
Call
about
it something
that.
else.
How about Daddy's house?
Full House, Step by Step. There's a million things with this premise.
Did fam?
What? Blended Fam. Hey, they called that movie Instant Family a couple of years later. I mean, that's a bad title, too. Just come on. You're making a goddamn kids movie pretty much. This movie is for children. And I just keep your dicks out of
Call
it.
it the stepfather.
Oh. Well, no, then I would just think it's like, by the way, I would watch Will Ferrell in a reboot of The
That would be
Stepfather.
great. You get back to his
Yeah.
artistry then.
Yeah, he would be.
You wouldn't know what to think.
Would Will Ferrell work
I
in,
don't
in
know.
something like that? Like Vince Vaughn as
oh,
Norman Bates?
Yeah, I don't know, but that would really be a weird. That would catch people's attention.
Yeah, he's
He
definitely
wouldn't do
tall
that.
and weird. Like it would be like Steve Carell
Yeah,
in
it would be.
Foxcatcher, where people would be like, "Yeah, that's weird," but like,
Right.
stop.
It would be like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't actually want to
Right.
see
was
that
a terrible
Steve
movie
Carell.
too, by the way. I thought it was awful.
It was mostly bad. You
Oof.
liked it less than I did. Henry, I'm watching this film. About a minute in, we get a great shot of Will Ferrell's Ford
Yes.
van. Know what I'm saying? You ready? You ready to be driving some
A lot of
Fords around?
Fords going on here.
You're not gonna see any other cars.
Didn't
in this
occur to
movie.
me.
Get ready for some
There
Fords,
goes
baby.
that's a lot of the budget right there. They
This film is built Ford
Yeah.
tough.
it's
Well, I do think that these movies, like the catch, what is it? The product placement
huge.
is outrageous.
they're everywhere.
Did you notice any other fun ones?
Well, you got a big one for the specific motorcycle Harley Indian for Harley Davidson.
That's right. They like go into like
Yes.
the details
Then
of
they-
that motorcycle, start
And by
describing
a
it.
sidebar conversation, they talk about Kawasaki's. So you get a little Kawasaki plug. Yeah.
That's right. There's also I want to point out at one point an enormous Red
Oh,
Bull
yeah.
logo in Will Ferrell's backyard. See, the storyline there is so just to set it up, Will Ferrell is the doting stepfather to two young kids, a little girl and a little boy. He's married Linda Cardellini. Obviously, he was probably her high school English teacher, and he scouted her and made her his wife. And but I mean, that's of course not the case because she has an ex-husband, Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg, and he's back in town. Daddy's home, and he's very cool. And he's going to cause Will Ferrell some problems. So Wahlberg's handy. So he builds a very big tree house in the backyard, and it's such an impressive tree house that Red Bull wants to sponsor it. That is both believable and funny, and makes me want to drink a lovely Red Bull.
believable. It is funny. Much like him, Mark Wahlberg at the radio station, who's now the new voice of Panda Smooth Jazz.
Well, that's not
No,
product
no,
placement,
but
but I did find
it was
that very funny.
I mean, the idea, honestly, it feels like an obvious choice, but I wouldn't have thought to make Will Ferrell a big, some sort of executive of some sort at a smooth jazz radio station. I mean, that's fucking great.
It's definitely a movie
Oh, yeah.
job, but it's Daddy's home. So
I
you're
don't
really
care,
gonna complain
right?
about that shit.
You don't care.
It's better than just making him a fucking architect.
That's true,
or
and
some bullshit.
honestly, you really do. This movie's you really do realize you're in a movie here where they're not even attempting to make anything realistic. Where unlike in Bad Moms, where Mila Kunis has a job as a whatever at a coffee. I mean, it's absurd. So at least in here, it's so ridiculous. You're just like, yeah, okay. He chooses the voice of the panda. That's all he does. That's all the movie shows him doing is auditioning people to announce the radio station. That's it. I guess he's a talent scout.
Yeah, that's
maybe.
I think he's just a producer. And like I guess this is his current job. Like,
Yeah.
that's what he's doing. He's and he hires Mark Wahlberg. His
Well, he
his
doesn't.
kid's dad.
Thomas Hayden Church does that. Yeah.
His boss, Thomas Hayden Church. I was pleased with how few characters there were in this movie.
Yeah,
It's
there
a
aren't
pretty
that
tight movie. It's pretty much Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, Linda Cardellini. You've got Thomas Hayden Church as Will Ferrell's boss, Hannibal Buress as Mark Wahlberg's friend, and Bobby Cannavale as Mark Wahlberg's friend, who's like the sperm
Right.
doctor.
But though he's not even really recurring. Yeah.
No, and that's really a
Yeah, it is.
glorified cameo.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I honestly thought Thomas Hayden Church was hilarious. I don't know. Yeah,
I thought he was bad. I thought he was actively bad in the worst part of the movie.
He's my MVP.
He's my LVP.
Did you?
I can't believe
Well,
that. That's surprising.
You know, I know he's just doing his he's living off that Sideways character forever.
He's not even. He's living off of fucking
Oh, well,
Wings,
what he
dude.
did?
He's been
that what he
doing
did
this
in Wings?
character since. Yeah, he was the mechanic. He was just like a shitty dumbass on Wings, and then they put him in Sideways. He got nominated for an Oscar for doing exactly what he did for years on a fucking sitcom. And now he's just still living off of that. He's getting movie roles based on Sideways. He's just doing
he's
Wings.
He's got
Get him back on television. This is a TV
got that
actor.
awful mustache, and I mean the thing that doesn't really pay off, but I sort of didn't care, was that his thing is it's an obvious joke trope where he like tells gross stories about his numerous ex-wives to Will Ferrell in every scene, and they go nowhere. And when he first did that, I figured like, okay, so this will probably be in multiple scenes where he does this, and they range from amusing to just tiresome. But I thought in most of the other scenes he was in, he was pretty funny. I don't know.
To me, whenever Will Ferrell was at work, I was like, get me back home.
Yeah.
Except for the one scene where Wahlberg showed up, and like there was that bit where he has like an amazing singing voice, and like that's a good
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know you felt that way about THC.
It's like Jackie Earle Haley, where like these guys on the basis of one,
Right.
Some casting director just like perfectly cast them in a movie, and they spent the rest of their careers like redoing that same performance
Well,
for
I think
diminishing returns.
that Jackie Earle Haley's actually a really good actor, and he's gotten some cool roles from little children. But Thomas Hayden Church,
Yeah, and he played all of them as a child molester.
with the same like vibe.
Yeah, that's it. Like Jackie Earle Haley, yeah, he's Rorschach in Watchmen. All right, I'm going to play this. It's like Rorschach, but he's a child molester.
And he played an equally venomous type of person in Lincoln, where he played the Confederate vice president, Alexander.
He's like a Confederate vice president, but as a child molester. That's my choice as Jackie Earle Haley, an actor. I'm going to play Freddy Krueger, but as a child molester.
You were psyched when the Watchmen trailer came out, and you thought he was Rorschach, and he was Rorschach.
It made me cry.
So was I. I didn't cry, but I was like, oh, that's a great choice for Rorschach, the guy from Little Children.
I know. I thought it was such
really
a good
wasn't.
choice at the time.
But yeah, I like Thomas Hayden Church. He's fun. I don't have a problem with him, but I don't have that background.
I don't have a problem with him. I like Wings, but like I just think it's crazy that he's like still
So many
churning
people
out
do
this
that
shit.
kind of career.
But how is he not returned to television at some point? Like Thomas Hayden Church could probably like headline a
Yeah.
Showtime show. You can't tell me like he can't be the third lead on Billions?
He
can.
could come on to Shameless, probably.
Well, that show's ending. But you're totally right. He would be perfect for
That's
fucking
why it
Shameless.
popped into my head. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because he has no fucking shame. Will Ferrell, of course, desperately wants to be a father, and he is unable to have children of his own due to a flashback involving a problem with a dentist's office x-ray that was accidentally pointed at his genitals and made him sterile. Now, while it is a positive for the movie to make this character unable to have kids because it adds stakes to the blended family and for him bonding with Mark Wahlberg's kids. But this is a very bad flashback.
The only part of the flashback that I thought was funny was the kid on his phone. But nothing that the kid really says is funny at all.
The X-ray,
X-ray. Yeah,
mishap happens
Yeah.
because guys.
But then he
the
says
X-ray
like
tech is on his
really
phone.
weird dialogue. Like he's just like, you got a really weird tongue. It's like, is that none of that's funny? But like the visual, that's where if you had a better director, you could literally have, if you needed to have that scene in there. You don't need any
I think it's a
dialogue.
screenplay
You don't even
problem.
need any dialogue. You could just show that sequence and just kind of let it happen. Show the kid on his phone and then let it go, and then that might be funnier.
I just don't think having him lose it in an X-ray mishap is like they're going for
Yeah,
the
right.
laugh on that, but this like cuts to the actual core of the character. You kind of need to make this moment a
Yeah, I don't
tad
know what it
real
would be.
for like the emotional.
Yeah, I don't know
resonance
how
to
they
hit
came
later.
up with that. Like, I don't know what there could have been quite.
Well, probably. I bet you in the original screenplay, he was just unable to have kids,
Yeah.
and when they did the rewrite, they were like, "Well, it's a mainstream comedy. We need a laugh here," and so they were like, "That's funny."
So it's a really weird
But it's
idea
not.
though to come out of nowhere. Like a dental hygienist's chair's X-ray lowers onto your balls. It's very odd.
It really does. So I mean, we could just like get into it. Like, there's no real plot in this movie. It's just Mark Wahlberg returns and tries to make Will Ferrell look shitty in front of his kids, and tries to be like a cool dad and stuff. And by the end of the movie, they realize that they both bring something to the table and that they could
Right.
co-parent together. And you know, the crux of the movie is that Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell clearly like each other in real life, so their rapport. What, you don't feel that way?
No. I didn't know that. That's why did I make a yeah.
I just
Yeah,
get
no,
that
it
sense.
must.
I mean, they've worked together
Must like
3
each other.
times.
Sure,
now.
sure. Yeah.
They seem like they get along and they have fun on screen together, and so like they're able to sort of build that friendship convincingly enough that like it brings an emotional core to the movie. And I do think something that I'm sort of realizing about myself late in life, and late in life, I'm 34. And I'm not sort of fully. I don't know all of the implications of this, but I am very, very moved by blended
Okay.
family stories. And even though this movie is Daddy's Home with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, I still felt like they handled Will Ferrell's love for those kids. I just find the idea of a grown man or woman having a father or mother's love for children that are not their own very, very
Interesting.
powerful to me. And I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
you're
I'll
going
adopt
through
a
some
kid someday.
stuff. That's nice. It's nice.
I am.
It sounds like a nice process you're having.
It is, and it's something I've been thinking about anyway. And this movie definitely brought that back. And
Having
I don't
kids
know.
is something you've been thinking about a lot?
no,
Just in
blended
general.
families and
Sure.
adoption, and yeah, I find that sort of fascinating. And I think this movie is honest about the process. It is just a series of variable
I don't-
jokes, probably
Yeah,
mostly
I mean, they don't
bad, to
quite-
be honest.
Take it very seriously, but
No. Most of it's just a stupid comedy that most of the jokes don't land in. But I think that it's honest about the blended family part, and I felt like Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg
Yeah.
played it real enough that I was able to get invested in the
I
characters.
did wonder and wanted and this happened in both movies. It was very strange. Of course, it's attributable to it all being directed and written and produced by guys. But like Linda Cardellini doesn't have much to do at all in this thing. Like they don't give her much reasons for anything. You never really get to know her at all as a character. You don't get to Yeah,
She's
you
not
don't
a
get to know
character.
her at all. Like her feeling, like even basic shit. Where like in Bad Moms, they overdid Mila Kunis's like by the narration and all that shit. This one, you get like nothing, and it just
It's an
It is a
enormous
problem because Linda Cardellini is way more than fully capable of delivering. I mean, she did it when she was, like you said, a teenager in Freaks and Geeks, and they don't give her like much of anything. They kind of just give her they kind of throw her dialogue to set up other characters, and that's very disappointing because I love her and
she's the ultimate third build woman in a mainstream comedy. Just like there's no character here. She exists to be married to Will Ferrell and to be sought by Mark Wahlberg, and I just think like her whims change from scene to scene. Like depending on the scene and where the plot is, we see her either siding with Will Ferrell or Mark Wahlberg, or I mean, she'll like develop character traits almost. Like it seems like at the beginning she's totally beyond Mark Wahlberg, and like that's a part of her past. And then like when Mark Wahlberg starts like teaching her kid how to like punch people, like, and Will Ferrell's like, well, actually, like I don't think our kid should be getting into fights. And Linda Cardellini's like, he needs to learn to protect himself. That's not the character saying that. That is just because they need that scene to be in the movie, and they need somebody to be on Mark Wahlberg's side.
Yeah,
so she's there. Like Linda Cardellini she doesn't matter at all. She is just a vaginal person in the center of this movie. She's the mom. She might as well not have a name.
They could have like had an opening scene where she has to go away and she's like on a business trip for the whole movie, and it's the two of them working stuff out together. They could have just done that and nothing would have been lost.
That is basically what happens, dude. Because like by the end of the movie, there's that whole mishap at the basketball game where the whole family gets to go to courtside and meet former rapist Kobe Bryant. And they like Will Ferrell has like a drunken mishap and they kick him out of the house. And Mark Wahlberg at this point is like trying to get back in and be closer with the kids, and he realizes he's not cut out for it. He needs to be a co-dad. And so there's this whole section of the movie where Linda Cardellini presumably is raising the children. Right. It says we literally get a title card that's it says 4 days later. So it's only fucking 4 days. But like we have no idea what she's up to, and it's just like Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg show up at the dance at the end of the movie, the father-daughter dance, and they're like, "We're here. We've solved everything." Linda Cardellini, Will Ferrell's gonna stay married to you. I hope that's okay with you. I'm just letting you know. And I'm gonna live across the street with my model
in a castle.
wife.
Speaking of castles, I did like.
Well, you want to talk about Nathan Fillion, bro?
Oh,
Speaking
sorry.
Of
in a few minutes. The scenes where they're telling bedtime stories, that was funny to me. I like that a lot. And Wahlberg was good in that too. Like, and the dialogue they give him, like they're out in the very first one, they're like outdoing each other with what they're calling their kids. And at one point, Wahlberg calls him "my little Jesus teardrop." You know, I mean, and then they keep telling the story about the step king and the good king, and that's pretty funny. Like, I think that actually works. I think it's pretty funny.
I think Ferrell raises Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah.
I still just don't think Wahlberg is funny, but I think Ferrell is so naturally funny. Like he just.
Well, that's what I mean about Wahlberg making me uneasy.
He doesn't need to do any. Will Ferrell is perfect for lazy comedies because he
he's
doesn't
funny
need
looking
to do
too.
anything.
I mean, he just doesn't have.
Yeah,
he doesn't have
just
to do
funny.
it. But that's what I mean about also like with like Wahlberg making me uneasy. Where it's maybe uneasy is the wrong word. I know he's not going to come out of the television and give me a beatdown, but well, he might.
Well, you're not an elderly
that's a good
Asian
point.
man.
Not yet. And but like he just, when they're having dialogue together, I'm always just wondering like how much of it is reactive as an actor on Wahlberg's part. How much is like, is he smart enough to keep up with Will? You know, it's
no. I fully believe that Mark Wahlberg is sticking to the script. and Will Ferrell's feeding him lines. I think like every time Mark Wahlberg quote unquote improvises in a comedy, it's that somebody between takes was like, "You should say this."
Yeah, and then they just
And that's I think Wahlberg is a missile. I just think he's a guided missile. Like you put him in the right thing. Paul Thomas Anderson was such a genius for putting him in Boogie Nights because, I mean, the guy is just like a blank slate. He doesn't have a brain in his fucking
he can do
head.
the right role when he's directed by a genius. Like you said, Paul Thomas Anderson. I think in The Departed, he's playing himself, and he's given great dialogue. And in The Fighter, he's great because he's a pugilist.
He's not even great in The Fighter, but I think he's well cast.
I think that's the thing. So when it comes to comedy, but I do recall thinking he was pretty funny in Ted. So I mean, but that was more. He didn't.
Should we do Ted this year? Maybe kicking off the year with Daddy's Home. This will be our year of Wahlberg.
That would be great.
How many franchises is he?
Man,
he's in those Transformers.
Ted, Daddy's Home, The Fighter. Yeah,
is there a fighter
for this?
I'm looking. Let's see. Patriots Day, that doesn't have one. Lone Survivor, he's just lone in that one. Two Guns, there's no one gun, unfortunately. He's had a couple tries at a franchise that didn't really go through. Oh, he's in Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to cover Planet of the Apes. God, I wish there was a sequel to Fear. That's my
favorite
favorite Mark Wahlberg.
I know it is, yeah.
Have we ever ranked Mark Wahlberg?
Boy,
I don't think we have. I think Fear might be my number one.
We have not ranked Mark Wahlberg. Now that is an interesting order up because that is one where I don't think you're really going to have to contend with weighing performance versus quality of movie. It's all going to be quality of movie. It's going to be like all the great directors he worked with. It's not going to even be about him at all.
Do you think there's a good Mark Wahlberg performance in a bad movie? Do you think that's such a thing that exists?
That is a great point because we do that all the time.
Because there's plenty of bad Mark Wahlberg performances.
We see that all the time with other actors. My God, we see it constantly. Boy, I don't know, man.
He's just so rarely good.
Raise the bar of a bad movie. I mean, I don't.
Probably by lifting it over his head with his enormous muscles. You know, he's so
he is
short.
He definitely has Napoleon complex.
Yeah, he totally does. I love seeing him in movies next to Will Ferrell because it accentuates his
tiny man.
Yeah. He's like a little boy. Yeah, you can see why he got
sure. I actually liked seeing at the end of this movie John Cena.
Cena. What are you doing, Cena? It's John Cena. That's his open.
We've seen him. Have we covered him before? We did.
John
he was
Cena?
in something. I swear to God. Showed up in something we did. I swear to God he did. I don't know. But anyway.
Probably. I mean,
I
I was miserable at the lack of John Cena in these films.
I figured you would be, but I liked seeing him stand next to Mark Wahlberg. That was fun. It also gave you an interesting perspective of muscularity, because they do a good job of showing Wahlberg looking intimidating, and then John Cena walks up, and that's funny. Yeah.
I did appreciate that from Wahlberg because I feel like Wahlberg is a guy who's so not willing to ever abase himself. He's the only guy that shows up in mainstream comedies and always gets to play the character that is the strongest, the coolest, the funniest, and the awesomest.
That's it. That's what I was trying to say, and I had made a note of it and didn't see it. That is why he makes me... I don't like that. I don't like that quality in him. I see that all the time. He's been doing it forever. He did it on Saturday Night Live. He cannot have a sense of humor about himself. And I mean, I think in these movies he's trying, but these are very choreographed jokes about a character.
But even in these movies, like, he's not self-effacing at all. Like, yeah, he has, like, I appreciate that he's able to put himself next to John Cena, like one of the strongest motherfuckers on the planet, and look small or whatever. But there's also like a million scenes in this movie with his kids, with Thomas Hayden Church, with Bobby Cannavale, with Linda Cardellini, with with Will Ferrell, with people just describing how fucking awesome he is.
You're right. And even in the end, like Bill Burr, who did make me laugh.
Yeah, Bill Burr. That's right. I love Bill Burr. I love that Bill Burr is like getting a little acting career going.
Yeah.
It's nice. I've seen him live stand up. I'm a fan.
Him in person.
And he's great.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I love his
stand-up. Opening for Louis C.K. But I loved him on the fucking Mandalorian.
He's great on
so
that,
much.
And his stand-up's fucking brilliant. Yeah,
good podcast too. One of the only podcasters I've heard ever that I think is effective when he doesn't have a guest. He comes on by himself and just monologues the thing, and he's great.
Wow, that's a talent, as we've learned from Henry's Corner.
It's a talent.
I don't share. I'm not going to say you don't. I can't
Neither one
that.
of us
do.
Can we talk about my MVP in
Sure.
the film? Mr. Hannibal Buress.
I thought he might be. I love him too. I just was sorry he was sort of relegated to, I don't know, a lot of racial jokes that seem dated.
Yeah, but I kind of like that he's sort of this like off to the side figure in this movie. Like he's just sleeping on their couch. He gets to start as like a handyman, and Mark Wahlberg just sort of befriends him to the point where he's hanging around the movie. His name is Griff, and he's just eating cereal, and everyone's being friendly to him, and he's living there. And I really enjoyed that. And I liked him just sort of walking around the movie, because Hannibal Buress is a presence that you don't see in mainstream comedies that often. He's a little smaller and a little snarkier and a little meaner at times.
He was in Tag.
And
Tag.
He was in what? Yeah, he was in fucking Tag. He's one of the best parts of that shitty movie too. But yeah, I enjoyed him in this film, saying that he thought Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo was superior to Breakin', which I disagree with. But I
love
respect the
that
opinion.
because it made me pause the movie and go on Letterboxd and see what you and I had thought. Because I remembered we had the same thoughts on those movies, but I didn't remember. I was like, is that what we thought? And then we did not.
We loved Breakin' 2. We liked both of them quite a bit, but we preferred the first one. But you know what? Respect to Hannibal, and glad to hear that he's a Shabba-Doo fan.
That's
and,
pretty cool.
You know,
so he's your MVP.
Yeah.
All right.
He's my MVP. I love him. Not in the sequel.
No, he's not. There's too many. There's 500 characters in the sequel, so.
I have a theory about it. You may recall that Hannibal Buress is the man who really made the news about Bill Cosby mainstream. He's a bit of a worrier for, assholes and idiots, and got Bill Cosby in a lot of fucking trouble to the point where he's in prison now. And I'll say that I would argue that the casting of Mel Gibson in Daddy's Home 2 probably didn't sit right with Hannibal Buress.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But
I couldn't find anything out about it.
But when did Wahlberg beat up that old guy?
That was in the 80s.
He didn't Yeah.
It's forgotten. It's fucking forgotten, dude. He spent time in jail. He multiple hate crimes in the 80s, not just the one. I mean, that was the worst one when he beat the shit out of an elderly, I believe, Korean man and blinded him for life.
Huh.
And you know, he spent probably a couple hours in prison for that, so he did his time. And in the most recent time he addressed it in an interview, he said that he feels he did his time for those hate crimes, and he sleeps just fine.
See, that's a bad answer. I asked because I didn't know how prevalent that was, and if Hannibal Buress would have known about that and been, pissed about that.
I think in 2015, getting a role in Daddy's Home was a huge deal for Hannibal Buress. He's not the most famous individual in the world, but I do feel like based on the sort of public persona that he's set forth for himself, like I don't think you can be in a movie with Mel Gibson if you're Hannibal Buress.
Yeah.
That looks
bad.
bad.
That's a possibility. Yeah. Clearly a lot of other people can.
Oh, tons of people are psyched to be.
Well, we're getting to that. My MVP is Thomas Hayden Church. I liked him a lot, as usual.
You're done.
You said your MVP, so I thought you were wrapping up. No, go ahead. You said their MVP. I didn't know.
Couple of notes. I appreciated them watching Frozen, as that's something we covered on the show.
That was funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciated how into it Hannibal Buress
and
Mark
I
Wahlberg
was
were.
right there with them when they were just as fooled as I was by the bad guy being the prince. I thought that was very funny.
That's right. Yeah. Just one more product placement I want to point out is early in the film, Mark Wahlberg makes some cinnamon rolls, and Will Ferrell's like, those look like the most delicious fucking cinnamon rolls I've ever seen. They have to be from Cinnabon. And then at the end of the movie, Mark Wahlberg's like, remember those amazing cinnamon rolls, those incredible cinnamon rolls that made your mouth water, and when you tasted them, they just flaked off in your mouth, and they were delightful, and you enjoyed them for the rest of the day, and they can be found at any mall in America, because they're from Cinnabon, baby.
See, it's interesting, because his comedic delivery on that explanation, that's a really good example of a joke when it's told at the end of the movie that I think would be really good and be really funny if told by someone comedic. Yes, comedic. Yes, because he's like
funny.
A lot of time.
Yeah,
he says these lines. He just says these lines, and they do not, shall we say, roll off the tongue. And so it's he's saying like these. There's a word in this movie he uses, and I literally was like, he doesn't know what that word means. When he hugs him, and I think it's because Ferrell says it first, profusely. He goes, "Oh, you're sweating profusely." I'm like, he doesn't know what profusely means.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg doesn't
use
read
words like that.
I believe that Mark Wahlberg only reads the scripts that his script readers, which I assume are the people from his entourage back home in Massachusetts, his own Turtle and E. They give him scripts to read, and I assume he just reads them. And he accepts the parts in like a third
profusely.
of them. Oh,
Thank
good use, man. If you ever meet Mark Wahlberg, maybe you should get him word of the day toilet paper.
Get him what?
Get him word of the day toilet paper.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't have a sense of humor about himself. He might clock me.
Great point. But you're white, so like.
All I have to do is call him Marky Mark, right? That's real sensitive to him.
Yeah, he doesn't like that.
Yeah,
he doesn't like that.
What I
he doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel it. Feel it.
Get a good.
Listen. Paul Shear's cameo as the half-court guy when Will Ferrell threw a basketball at a cheerleader's face and then at a wheelchair kid. Did that make me laugh twice in a row? Yes, it did. I will always laugh at a basketball being
There's
thrown at a
always
kid in a wheelchair.
something
I'm
funny
sorry.
about a basketball hitting someone in the head, and it's funnier than other types of.
He was so right next
Yeah.
to that cheerleader too. It was like point blank range.
Know that it's point blank till he pulls away, and then and there's something funnier about a basketball, right? Because we all know that basketballs are heavy and hard and they hurt.
Yeah.
So it's not as funny
They
when you see like a
sting.
football or even a baseball. Like a basketball is just so big and it's always
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
It is. It's great. It's the best basketball face hit since the detention episode of Dawson's Creek when Pacey threw one, or Dawson threw it at Pacey. Hey, listen, Daddy's Home 2. Oh wait, did we do this? What did
Two.
you give it?
You're going 3?
I'm giving
That's
it
okay.
3.
I waffled. I almost gave it a 3. But see, by giving it a 3, though, I'm really, really like pretty much sanctioning it as like a recommendation of a comedy.
I think I am sanctioning it as a recommended comedy. I think this first Daddy's Home, it's got some terrible fucking bits in it. It is throwaway as fuck. But 1, 2, 3. Hey, my mic, the brand of microphone I use is Shure, SHUR. I want somebody to plan a terrorist attack. All right. I don't know where their building is. Wherever their headquarters are, there's probably nobody there anyway because they're all working from home using their shitty microphones on Zoom calls.
By the way, any audience members who want to attend our congressional hearings on Capitol Hill, just use parking lot C, and you can walk up the main entrance, and you can see Dan and probably me, by implication, in the juror's box when this case comes to court.
I've never had a good experience with a microphone. I'm still waiting for my first podcast where I'm like, that went well. I've been podcasting since 2013, Henry, and I've never felt like a podcast has gone well.
You mean just because
Just technically. I've never once not had a technical problem in an episode of a podcast. And maybe that I'm a horrible podcaster. Maybe I'm shitty. Maybe I need a producer or something. But like nobody's stepping up.
Yeah. It's the remoteness too. It's difficult for us, and Dan has to record all this via Skype, and on top of that, worry about his microphone. It's not an easy task. Yeah. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Mark Wahlberg could set me up, you know.
He's holding the mic in the photo behind you.
He's made so much money, Henry. Mark Wahlberg, he produced Boardwalk Empire. He works with Martin Scorsese. The man has $100 million.
He produced Prisoners.
Yeah. And this is all on the basis of being a borderline mentally challenged person. Like, just not a brain in his fucking head and not a talent in his body. And he's managed to make this money. He's got a good-looking torso.
But we can't get through an episode with the microphone problem.
No. That's just the fucking class divide in this country.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. All right. Daddy's Home 2. You want to talk about this piece of shit?
Well, so wait. So
Did
you
we
gave
fucking finish? I don't even care.
you gave it 3. I know, but they care. You gave it 3. I gave it 2.
I'm giving it a 2 now.
I thought you were going to do that. I knew
No,
you were
I'm not. I'm going to give it a 3. That's on.
Who's the LVP? I really didn't know, I got to say, because I wanted to give it to Wahlberg, but that's not really fair.
No, I think it's me. I got some stories to tell you. I'm going to tell you some stories on Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh, that's right. He's your LVP. That's yeah.
It's not bad, right? That's my Hayden Church impression.
It's interesting. It's
Yeah.
a different take. I thought you'd go for the road. That
You
whole
wanna,
thing.
you wanna go drink some? You wanna go drink some wine at the vineyard, Paul Giamatti?
Yeah, I guess I'll drink some fucking wine at the fucking vineyard again.
You
The
could do that.
Rhino and Sandman together at last.
Yeah. Yeah. You could do the whole script of Sideways with both those characters. I'd pay to listen to that.
Can you be Virginia Madsen and Sandra Oh?
I'll my best. Sure.
Can that be a Patreon episode? We'll do a read through of the whole Sideways script. I'll do Thomas Hayden Church and Giamatti, and you do the girl parts.
I don't say this often. That's the best idea you've had in a very long time.
FYI, doing a read through of a screenplay for a Patreon is a pretty fun idea.
That is a great idea.
Yeah,
Dude.
find like a shooting script on the internet.
Love it. I have. You do too. I have probably not anymore. You probably pitched them because you don't have like physical copies of shit anymore. But you remember I have a few shooting scripts of movies.
I've got a couple in my parents' house somewhere.
Yeah.
I think I have the shooting script of Scream.
Wow.
Mhm.
All right, throw me an LVP. I don't know. I couldn't come up with one 4 days ago, and I still can't.
I don't know. How'd you feel about Cannavale?
There you go.
I thought he was good though.
He's okay. He's just the characters. It's a little much.
Hey, did you watch Vinyl?
No, I had no interest.
Remember Vinyl?
I think Robbie Cannavale's good. I liked him in Boardwalk Empire. I liked him in Station Agent. I mean, when he
Will and
shows
Grace.
up and... Huh?
You a big Will and Grace fan?
I never saw it. Yeah, Bobby Cannavale was a little much, but I mean, he's just doing his thing. He'll get my LVP. There you go.
Oh, I
So-
would say that the only other contender for LVP in the film, you got to go, Kobe Bryant, considering he forcibly raped a woman in a hotel room
Oh yeah,
and admitted to it.
that's true.
His death has nothing to do with this tragic early death for rapist Kobe Bryant.
Should I give him my LVP?
Yeah, I think so. I do think that if you have fucked a woman without her consent, that might earn you a least valuable player award on the franchise podcast.
But not from you, because you hated Thomas Hayden Church so much.
I'll save it for Mel in the next one. All right, Daddy's Home 2. Anders and Morris back to write and direct there. This was released November 10th, 2017 on a budget of 70 How many one-star reviews are we going to get because I talked about Kobe Bryant being a rapist?
I don't know, but we're trying to bring it up to a 5. So.
All right, great. November 10th, 2017, a budget of $70 million, $1 million more than the last one, apparently.
Sure.
By the way, the budgets are so astronomically high on this movie, and it is because this is the type of movie that nobody is working in for scale. Like, everybody is demanding their full paychecks to be in Daddy's Home, too.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. This isn't a movie that people are like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah,
for,
this is not a labor of love.
No. It's 10 million here, 10 million there, and then probably 3 million left for actual
I bet you
sets.
Mark Wahlberg made $30 million.
Well-
And I bet you they both had back-end deals where they
I
made a
was
ton of
just gonna
money.
say, of course they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this made $180.6 million at the box office. Less than office. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Were you able to hear me the whole time?
Cut out for a second, but
Okay. Number 30 at the box office between Pitch Perfect 3 and Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express. And, here it is. This was also nominated for some awards.
oh. What's this nominated for?
Well, let's get back to the Kids' Choice Awards. They again.
All right. Bear with me. I'm going to the Wix site to find our themes now because they're all on there.
Seems
which
like
is very nice.
seems like it's taking even longer.
It's kids' choice awards. It's KCA, KCA to you, but it's kids making the choice, making the choice, making the choice. Yeah.
Will Ferrell was nominated for Best Actor at the Kids' Choice Awards for Daddy's Home 2, but he lost to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Wow. Some tight competition.
It was a great
which we've
performance.
covered. Yeah.
How about the teens had something to say about Daddy's Home 2?
They always, those damn teens.
It's the teen choice award.
This was nominated for Best Comedy of the Year, but it lost to Love, Simon. You familiar with that film?
It sounds familiar. Who's in that?
It's about a gay teen. The kids love a gay teen these days.
No, I guess I don't then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe there's a spin-off on Amazon Prime, maybe, or Hulu, called Love, Victor.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. Then Farrell and Wahlberg were both nominated for Best Comedy Actor, and they both lost to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Wow, just so many awards for Jumanji.
Yeah. Well, The Rock was entertaining in that.
He's great. Smolder, something. Is that his name in that movie?
That sounds right. Something like that.
Yeah. Golden Raspberries.
It's the raspberries, no razzmatazz. All we're lacking is a little pizzazz, 'cause it's the golden raspberries. It's the worst of the worst, not the best of the best. It's pizzazz gone raz.
Ooh, you were really feeling it. I could see it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard it in a while.
Well, we haven't covered anything quite this bad in a while.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we did do Eddie's Christmas Vacation, but that was like a TV movie, so not radically elevated. This film, Mark Wahlberg was nominated for Worst Actor of the Year, which delighted me to no end.
Wow, that's great.
And he lost to Mr. Thomas Cruise for his appearance as the forerunner of the Dark Universe in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then we have Mel Gibson, who was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor and, of course, won because he is the worst supporting actor.
Fair enough.
So let's get into it, baby. We've got Daddy's Home 2 with new sponsor Airbnb providing some money. And in this film, Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell are happily co-parenting their 3 children, 2 that Wahlberg had with Cardellini and Ferrell have adopted, and 1 that John Cena had with some model that Mark Wahlberg has adopted. Okay?
Yes.
And
a
they're
very well developed character in that woman as well.
Oh, that woman. Well, that was a mistake by the first movie. And this is the kind of thing, like, when you're doing things when you're adding like little buttons to the end of a mainstream movie now, you've got to think this is a world in which literally any movie could potentially be spun into a franchise.
Yeah.
So, at the end of Daddy's Home, I understand the impulse to do, like, it was cute. What they had them do was, Will Ferrell had been narrating the entire movie, and then we get a little narration from Cardellini at the end of that first one, and a little narration from Wahlberg, and it sort of connects all the characters. Like, they're all dealing with the blended family situation in their own way. I actually think it's well done. But what they did was they had, like, the cute little thing was now Mark Wahlberg is married to, like, a beautiful model, and John Cena is her ex, and John Cena is much bigger than Mark Wahlberg. So it's like, he's now in Will Ferrell's spot.
Right.
But see, now that you're making Daddy's Home 2, you actually have to follow through with that storyline in practice. Like, you set that up, and you can't just ignore it.
Ostensibly, yeah.
To be honest, if I'm the director of this movie, I might have recast the model.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's like a Melania Trump sort of mail order bride. And she's got no, I mean, I don't know. It's very, very odd. They have this running thing, which is so funny to me, with Linda Cardellini envying her, which if if Karen, I guess her name is, if she would have been cast by like an actress with an actress, they could have actually maybe developed a little stepmom rivalry thing going on there that was convincing. But the whole time I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's Linda Cardellini. I mean, she looks amazing, and she's always commenting on this 90-pound.
I mean,
Model.
I have to a little eye roll you on this one because it's just the mainstream comedy thing. Like, yeah, I agree with you, but we also have affection for Linda Cardellini from like Freaks and Geeks or whatever. I think like they cast this like objective, gorgeous, like supermodel type woman. What's happening?
Just getting a little air traffic control. I'm powering through.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Everything all right?
Yeah.
I fucking hate the show. Look, she's jealous, whatever. It's just they gave Linda Cardellini a side story, and she's not actually a character, so they can't do that. It's a subplot that has no place in this movie because neither one of them are actual characters. And so they decided to make the funny thing is like, oh, she's this gorgeous model type, but she's also a brilliant writer. And so, like, she's extra intimidating to Linda Cardellini. She's also a genius, except that this model can't sell it because, like, she can't act a lick.
So then why would you eye roll me? That's like what I think.
No. But I understand what they're doing, though. Like, she's...
Well, me too, but it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work, but I don't know if it doesn't work just because Linda Cardellini is such a magical princess.
Touche.
Yeah.
Touche. Yeah.
All right, so they're bringing in Wahlberg and Farrell's dads in this movie. Neither one of them come with a wife because we have no time for women for a single second in any of these movies.
True. It is true, man.
Yeah.
God.
So Will Ferrell's dad is John Lithgow, who is just like this very loving dad who kisses his kid on the lips and loves to meet people at the airport and is studying improv in his free time. And I gotta tell you, I found him to be a delight.
It's a little much.
I know.
I
get it.
Yeah. But I mean, I think Lithgow is having a fun time. I don't think he doesn't get to do this kind of stuff that much, so he's probably he's into it.
And I think that Ferrell goes along with it well. Like Ferrell and Lithgow have like a really silly, like just dorky fucking rapport that really worked for me. Like it made me laugh. I liked their interactions. I love how Will Ferrell genuinely thinks his dad is really funny and supports him doing improv. And I just like how much they genuinely seem to love each other. And Lithgow's just funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he is a funny guy.
You know who's not funny? Mel Gibson.
Yeah, so they bring Mel Gibson. And, you know, here's the thing. It's like, give him almost every attribute that we all now know about Mel Gibson. And it's uncomfortable. Like, he looks uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. He's supposed to be this misogynistic, hard-drinking, asshole who's not into like feelings and stuff, and it just doesn't work at all because he just can't. He's got too much baggage to be in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I couldn't agree with you more. This film was released in 2017, and we have no business casting Mel Gibson in anything, especially not as an absentee father and shitty partner, because we've just seen him be that in real life for so many years. And I mean, this he doesn't get to work in Hollywood again, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I'm offended that he does. This is a guy who is just like a staunch anti-Semite, bordering on neo-Nazi tendencies. I genuinely think that The Passion of the Christ has something to do with the rise in anti-Semitic rabble-rousing in America right now.
Really?
Oh yeah, because like I never
At
thought.
this point?
I never heard about being Jewish. And then, like, I grew up Jewish. And then I remember when that movie came out, like, for 2 years, I heard nothing but jokes about how I murdered Jesus.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to put myself back into that time. I mean, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And he
Yeah.
just brings
I
that...
just didn't know if that's still carried to today's anti-Semitic. Well, there's always anti-Semitism.
Well,
so.
I just think, like, shit that happens many years ago, like, then people grow up on it. And
Yeah, right.
I do think it still has something to do with it, man. And, like, I think it's just a bummer, his whole presence in the movie. Like, that first movie is a piece of shit. Like, the best thing that you could say about it is it's very amiable and decently made, and you get through it and have a decent time. It's impossible to have a decent time with Mel Gibson in this fucking movie. He comes in there, he wants to take them hunting. Like, that's his whole thing. He's this, like, manly guy. So, like, I'm so sorry. 2017, this came at a very specific time, I think. It's a year into the Trump presidency, and I think the Trump getting elected blew people's fucking minds in America, and there was a lot of talk in just that first year about how, well, if Trump won, then there's obviously an enormous audience out there for conservative shit and neo-Nazism. And so, like, in this mainstream comedy, let's put Mel Gibson in it. And I do think that it backfired on them a little bit. The movie made $60 million less than the previous film. But, I mean, they took a chance with him. They thought that Republicans would show up to see the movie. And they did, kind of, but it didn't do that great. I don't see them talking about A Daddy's Home 3 much.
No, he just lends a very uncomfortable. It's just uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. It's like more so than when he still shows up in, like, I don't know, The Expendables, or if he directs something, like just him in a comedy.
Well, I don't think he should be getting to make movies either.
No,
the
I
fact
know.
that Hacksaw Ridge was nominated for Best Picture, I honestly feel like, you know how conservatives sometimes will say, like, Hollywood is like a hotbed for just, like, pedophiles and like evil pieces of shit. This is why. Because these people get to come back.
Yeah.
Because if you're famous enough, you can come back from anything.
Yeah. He's something else, though, because there are worse offenders who are done. Or not worse offenders, I mean less offenders, right? Or equally, like, we're never probably going to see Franco again. We're never going to see...
We're going to see Franco again.
I don't know.
Franco's fine. I'm not worried about James Franco's career.
Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck's fine.
You think they're not done?
Are you kidding me? Casey
No, I'm
Affleck's
not.
got a movie coming out next month.
He does?
Yeah.
Those guys were... Well, we do the show in real time, and when things happen, they unfold, like, right on the show. And so, like, when those things happen, you tell me about them, and then I read them on my own. And so then I kind of just think, like, well, that's that. Because we've said on the show several times, you included, like, oh, Franco's finished, or we're never
I never thought Franco, because I think that if you're a famous, handsome actor, you get another shot eventually.
Yeah.
If you're James Toback, you're done.
Yeah, you mean multiple? Well, it depends. Yeah, depends on the heinousness and the multiplicity of the crime.
And I think it depends on whether you're a marketable person. Like,
Right.
Hollywood knows that James Franco and Mel Gibson and Casey Affleck still have money that they could make them. And that
that's
is the most important thing.
Yeah, it is the most.
James
important thing,
Toback
but
isn't making money for anybody right now.
No, that's true. But I mean, Mel Gibson makes them from his directing movies. He doesn't make them from any acting roles. He's not making Hollywood any money.
I'm just saying, Daddy's Home 2, The Expendables, like, these movies are making money. Mel Gibson has 3 movies coming out in 2021, one of which I'm interested in seeing.
Hey, he made that movie a couple years ago with Sean Penn. I'm seeing that all over.
Well, Sean Penn is an unbelievable piece of shit. He'll work with Mel Gibson, no problem. If there's one thing, Sean Penn is like this liberal fucking, like, high pedestal asshole. And the one thing Sean Penn will always be willing to forgive is just meanness.
That's interesting.
Bullying. Because Sean Penn understands that.
I never thought about that because he's so righteous. He's so self-righteous. You'd think he would not be willing to do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Gibson's got movies coming out this year with Joe Carnahan, and the one I want to see is the Neville Dean and Taylor guys. You know, one of the Crank guys is doing one with Mel. He's so perfect for that, you know it. It'll be good. Although I don't know if Mel can deliver it anymore. Like, he's bad in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
He used to be good.
If we try to, it's hard. But if we try to separate everything we're talking about and like think about Mel pre anti-Semitic rants and pre-passion, I agree, and I don't see it. It's kind of not there anymore. Like his presence.
No. He's got presence. I do think he has presence. He takes up a lot of the screen.
Well, like even in like What Women Want, as late as that, or as in Signs, I think he's great, and he's still got a lot of charisma. But I don't know if he has maybe. But I see what you say calling presence. I think is diminished by everything that's going on in my head when I'm watching him.
But you're still watching him. Like, that's the thing. Like, whenever Mel Gibson was on screen in this movie for me, he's all I'm paying attention to.
Well, me too, but that's not for the good reasons.
No.
I'm just cringing. I'm like, are they going to give him dialogue that's, they are, okay.
When he took them hunting, I was really furious about that, to the point where, like, Linda Cardellini even has to deliver, like, this horrible pro-Second Amendment monologue explaining how, like, the wild turkey population is getting out of control, so we have to fucking murder them. Like, fucking go kill yourself, movie.
I know. I hated that too. Man. That got me a little riled up.
I was excited when Mel got shot. Thought maybe he'd fucking die halfway through this movie.
They winged me.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. It's rough. I didn't really go in thinking he would be that distracting and that much of an LVP, honestly.
Well, sometimes you are entertained by Nazis.
Yep.
As we know.
Which Nazi?
You love Nazis. I know Mel's Neo, and you like the SS. You like them when they're in uniform, leading people into the chambers. Those are your favorite movies.
That's such a sick fuck. Oh, God. Yeah.
Mel's the new breed, man. You don't like these guys out of uniform.
I like seeing them on trial.
I like seeing them on trial, too.
Getting tortured. And...
I like that the leader of the Proud Boys got arrested this weekend. That's cool.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Good.
What'd you like in this movie? Did you like anything?
Getting depressed.
The whole family, they go to an Airbnb. He picks. By the way, he signs on fucking Airbnb. The joke is that he's able to get this mansion in like 2 seconds. I've been on Airbnb before. I once rented an Airbnb to fuck this girl who was living with her parents, and I mean it was a hell of a piece, Henry. So I rented this Airbnb and fucking. I mean, like, it's disgusting. It's just like a fuck pad. It's just a giant cum stain. And I found like dentures in a drawer.
My God.
Yeah, so that's what Airbnb is. Good luck finding a place like the fucking cabin in this movie.
Yeah, I've heard, I've never been to one, and I know it's a thing, but was it expensive?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus. Line of the show, by the way. A hell of a piece, Henry.
She was a hell of a piece, Henry.
More about that off air.
Yeah. Shout out to her. Hope she's doing all right. Anyway,
What?
You know what my favorite bit of this movie is, and it's so hacky, but I liked it.
The manger scene?
No, I hated that. I hate any manger scene in a movie, except for the one in Home Alone. So there's a lot of dads in this movie, because not only is it Wahlberg and Farrell and Gibson and this now, and there's a scene where they're all very concerned whether somebody touched the thermostat.
Were they all very what?
They're all very concerned that somebody touched the thermostat.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was funny.
That's a good bit because they're dads. You see what they did
funny.
there? Dads tend to be concerned about the thermostat.
It was funny. It was overdone when they talked about like the comedic timing with the thermostat at home and who can touch it and it's holy and all that shit. But the actual gag of them coming out being 85 degrees and the little girl that was funny.
Well,
yeah.
Speaking of that little girl, do you want to talk about? Listen, not only was this film very of its time, it jumped on the boom in neo-Nazi conservatism, but also, Henry, just in time for a great step incest storyline.
Right.
Yeah, this
odd.
film has shrewdly noticed that 75% of all porn now is step siblings and parents fucking, and so what they have done was created a little step incest storyline in this movie where Farrell, it's Wahlberg and Cardellini's son that is into the model and John Cena's daughter. Yeah, so it's his step sister, and the whole time they think he has a crush on a little Asian girl next door. But then when they tell him, go kiss your crush, he doesn't go to that girl. He kisses his fucking sister.
That was so odd. That was so weird. And
who's that for, do you think? Who is that storyline for?
I don't want to think about it.
I think exclusively perverts. It's not funny.
It isn't.
It's not cute.
No, it's certainly not cute. I mean, it's so weird. I mean, the little Asian girl, that was a perfectly fine little diversion.
Yeah, give me a cute little young love storyline.
And even the scene when Will Ferrell's shoveling snow and telling her that she's probably the cause of the divorce, that made me laugh.
Yeah. Wait, when does that happen?
He's outside shoveling snow because he just found out his dad actually is divorced and he's pissed off. And so then the little Asian girl walks by and she says, my parents are divorced too. It's okay. And he goes, yeah, was it your fault? And she's like, I don't think so.
I don't know. It was out of character, though. Like, Will Ferrell, basically, another problem with comedy sequels is, like, every problem they had in the first one was solved. And so, like, Will Ferrell's character arc is complete at the start of this movie. I don't know. Like, there was a part where, like, the kid wanted to talk about the girl he has a crush on.
Oh, yeah.
And Will Ferrell was like nervous to do that. And I was like, the Will Ferrell of the first movie would have fucking jumped at this. Like, been so psyched that his like adopted kid was like asking him a
Right.
real question.
And then when he does it, it goes on way too long. And Gibson and Wahlberg are like hiding in the trees behind him and like step in. It's very odd. Yeah.
It's very bad. Speaking of the Lithgow thing, yeah, so he's like recently divorced from his wife and hasn't told Farrell yet. And
Right.
there's this big centerpiece in the movie where he goes and like performs in this local improv troupe and
Yeah.
has like a fucking meltdown on stage about his wife's divorce because the
Yeah.
suggestion that Mark Wahlberg throws out from the audience is divorce.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought that scene worked too.
I thought it was.
I
actually-
literally only thought like 3 scenes worked in this entire movie, but
Right.
but they tended to be like the bigger swings. It's almost like if they spent that much time on every scene in the movie, if they gave this movie another year of production, like they might have ended up with something decent.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the timing of that scene was funny because it's when Mel Gibson is like bonding again with Wahlberg, and then he just leaves again, and so Wahlberg's just kind of sitting there staring at the stage and just yells out, "How about divorce?" And then that turns into a funny sequence. And Will Ferrell, I think, is the reason that scene's funny because he's so stupid. And keeps watching the skit, not understanding it, and Wahlberg's looking at him like, you don't see what's happening right now?"
It felt out of character for Farrell,
Yeah.
but I did find that moment funny. I was willing to forgive
Yeah,
that
I mean, he even though it's out of the character from the arc of the first movie, he's still a kind of a bumbling idiot. So
But
I mean,
I don't think he is. I think the Farrell character in these Daddy's Home, or at least the first one, was a much smarter, more self-aware guy. A lot of what he puts up with in that movie is not as a result of being stupid. It's just as a result of desperately wanting to be these kids' father.
Well, it's probably a bit of the Chevy Chase in European Vacation scenario. In the sequel, the protagonist is just written dumber. For laughs.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
you're right. It is a little bit Chevy in European Vacation. I like that. And they're on vacation in this movie,
That they are.
which
Yeah.
is contrived, but I appreciated the change of scenery, I guess.
It was weird. They didn't even need to do that because
Yeah.
they could have just put everybody in the same house. But I
I felt like maybe they wanted to send the actors on vacation. It reminded me of fucking Grown Ups. Like they're not really at that house for any reason in Grown Ups either. Just
I
that
didn't.
it's very
Okay.
nice. Maybe we'll
Oh.
cover Grown Ups this year, Henry.
Yeah, sure. Little breather.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. At the end, they all there's a blizzard, and they all end up at a movie theater watching a shitty movie. I assume Daddy's home too, and then it's actually a fake Liam Neeson movie they're watching.
But
which
that's
was-
his voice, right? That's him.
I think so. Yeah, the movie was called Mistletoe, which at first I thought was a play on Mazel Tov, but I don't think so.
Oh, I didn't think that. No, yeah, mistletoe. Yeah, it's like an action movie. It's funny. Yeah.
It's all right. And then they perform "Do You Know It's Christmas," which is a callback to a flashback earlier, which showed Mark Wahlberg missing the Bono part. I thought the flashback was good. The callback wasn't.
Nice mullets on the callback.
You mean the flashback?
Flashback. Sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I did think that it was very funny how accurate it was to the "Do They Know It's Christmas" video, which I've seen many times.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
That's wild.
Of all those big videos from the 80s, I don't think that one was one I was aware of. Maybe I saw when I was a kid.
It's really only that and "We Are the World," right?
Well, I mean, that's the big one, but there were a few of those in the 80s. That was like a thing, man. You just got like a whole bunch of fucking singers together for a cause.
That's
you know?
right, baby.
Yeah.
It ends with Mel and Lithgow. They go to Vegas together, which I found funny because that's how Bad Moms Christmas ended too, with all the bad moms going.
Oh my God,
Vegas
that didn't even
together.
occur to me. That's right.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Yeah. That's it's a nice touch. I don't know.
And Lithgow's wife also shows up at the end. It turns out that she cheated on him with Sully Sullenberger. Chesley Sully Sullenberger, the purveyor of the Miracle upon the Hudson, making a
That was
cameo at the end of the movie.
So odd.
I loved it.
I,
That's the best moment of the movie.
yeah, in a bad way.
No, not in a bad way. I really thought it was funny. And then I loved that Wahlberg didn't recognize, or no. Was it Farrell that didn't recognize him at first? And Wahlberg was like, "No, don't you remember? It's Sully. We saw that movie. Clint Eastwood directed it. You liked it." And Farrell's like, "Oh yeah, I did enjoy that."
Yes.
Aaron Eckhart, Tom Hanks.
Says Eckhart's name, yeah. And when he's running away yelling at Sully, that was kind of funny.
Oh, and that's
He's
they knew that's the end of the movie. Like him yelling at Sully, and then it cuts to credits.
Yeah.
There's actually a post-credit sequence too, which I skipped but saw on the wiki page.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, involves the manger or whatever.
Oh, I had that on because I left it running while I went on my phone. Yes, it just shows Lithgow alone by a manger in the dark telling stories.
Right, because he loves to meet people. That's one of his
And they
character
all
traits.
walk away. Uh-huh.
What do you give this movie?
1.
Me too. Fuck this movie. MVP?
Boy, this was a toughie. I feel like I might go for maybe the shopping sequences and anything she's able to do in this quagmire. I'm gonna have to go with Miss Linda.
I mean, I understand you want to.
I'm grasping. It's a John Cena, but then at the end, it's kind of just I felt
why?
bad for him.
You know, people misunderstand John Cena, and it's frustrating to me. Every time I see him in one of these fucking movies, they try to make him like the most intimidating guy ever. And I understand it's because of how he looks. He's an enormous man. But
Right.
if like you spent like 30 seconds thinking about John Cena's career as an entertainer, this is a man who was in the WWE for like 15 years and never fucking once worked as a heel. He's a babyface. Like, that's what he's good at. He's likable and fun, and he's an enormous guy, and that's something that's weird about him because he's kind of silly and actually like a kid at heart or whatever. That's the Cena that I know. And
Well,
but
I
every
liked
time
him in the movie.
But they always put him in these movies and like give him these roles like I'm a fucking heel.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, I understand, like, you only know that he's a wrestler, so that's the role you're giving him in this movie, but that's not what he does.
Yeah. Has he been in anything where he's a little softy?
Yeah, I've seen him used well and stuff. He's like a dad in that movie Cock Blockers, and I thought that was all right. But, like, I mean, for the most part, I just keep seeing him pop up in these movies as, like, a big bad guy.
Well, maybe he'll overcome that trend, you know? Maybe he'll have, like, a Rock sort of trajectory if he's lucky. I don't know.
I'm hoping so. I don't know. His career is flailing a little bit. He did that Firefighter movie, and it's just why do all wrestlers have to make that movie? Every wrestler ever that tries to have a movie career ends up in a movie where they've just got like a bunch of kids hanging on them.
Yeah, that is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Hulk had Suburban Commando.
Yeah, and another one.
Yeah, Mr. Nanny. You're right. Yeah. Triple H had one. You can even say Arnold Schwarzenegger's was Kindergarten Cop. Yeah, The Rock had the Game Plan. The Vin Diesel had the Pacifier. I'm telling you, all these giant guys, they give them one of these movies.
It's true. It's true. Wow. Yeah. That's funny. Well, who's your MVP in this? Lithgow?
Yeah.
I'm going Linda. You're going Lithgow. Our LVP's the same.
Mel.
Yeah. It's one.
Mel. And is that it?
I'm good.
All right, I'm good too. Fuck these movies. But I mean, watch the first one. The first one's all right.
Yeah, it's far less awful than I was really expecting it to be. I expected it to be worse made than Bad Moms.
I
and
was too. I was too, actually, because like Bad Moms seemed to have like a real cast and stuff, and like this movie, it's just like a Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg movie. It does look like something that they could have shit out in like a week's time, and I do think like a little more effort was put into that first script, whereas the second one is just like a thrown together, a cobbled together Christmas movie out of spare parts, including Nazis.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. True. Agreed.
All right. Funny. Oh, what was that accent you just did, Henry?
I don't want to do it again.
I want to hear it one more time, real quick.
I hate you so much. Agreed.
Was that a Scottish accent?
It's more leaning towards Irish.
Was that a Scottish accent? Can you help me out with this fucking segue? I'm trying to set up Shrek here.
Oh, you're right. We didn't have to say that. I got you on the. That's right. It was a segue. That's exactly why I did agreed.
I mean, it's one of the few times you set me up perfectly, and you didn't even know you were doing it.
No, because I wasn't entirely positive if that was what was happening on the next show. But
next week on the pod, Shrek and Shrek 2, gang.